All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney. Gervonta Davis says he has a fight coming up, and also his team is very, very clear once again about a fight that they say will take place. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division talking about one of the best fights that possibly can be made in boxing, and that is Gervonta Tank Davis, who is the big cash cow in the 135-pound division, and Devin Haney, who holds all of the belts in the 135-pound division. Now, there's an announcement, hopefully, that will be coming soon about who Gervonta Davis is fighting next. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, let me say thank you very, very much for your continued support. 364, my guy, thank you so much for continuing to come to the channel. Really do appreciate you. Definitely wanted to dedicate a video to you, man. You always are one of the first dudes in the chat. Always love listening to your reading your name and listening to your first comment. And thank you to everybody else that supports in the Cash App and the Super Chat and the Super Thanks, which you can see below with a little heart and a dollar sign in the video, which helps contribute to long time or, content promoters being able to put content out. Sorry, man. I'm just can't wait to get in this conversation. Mind is wandering a little bit. And I don't do edits in videos. So I do these videos like I'm talking to you, like we're sitting at a table. So anybody wants to say, well, why you should edit this out and edit that out? Nah, not going to do it. Just trying to have a one-on-one conversation with you to the extent that that's possible about boxing. But let's get into this, man. Gervonta Davis put out a tweet which said that he put a date of January, not a date, I don't believe, but I think it said January in DC, right? So a lot of people believe that that means he's going to be having a boxing match in January in the District of Columbia. Now, for me, I would love to do that because I have a lot of connections to DC. So more than likely, I'll go out there, get tickets and go see that fight because it's an excuse to go to the city itself. But who it will be against, I am going to tell you, man, people keep saying Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia. As far as Ryan Garcia goes, I am firmly stuck on I will believe it when I see it. Okay, I will believe it when I see it. I don't think that Oscar De La Hoya wants that fight. Don't believe it for nothing. I know Tank wants to fight. No, Ryan wants to fight. Really believe that that the PBC wants to fight and that Showtime wants to air the fight. All of that stuff. But when it comes down to it and it boils down to that last yes that they need, there's going to be a guy named Oscar De La Hoya there, and I do not believe Oscar De La Hoya is going to let that approval go. Do not believe it. Now, as far as what Gervonta Davis said, though, it was on the Rise podcast. If you've not checked out the Rise podcast, it's RIZE podcast. Just put it in your search bar. You should be able to find the Rise podcast. It is a podcast that is where all of the members of the podcast are members of Gervonta Tank Davis's gym, right? Upton Gym in Baltimore, Maryland. That's all of those guys are actively involved in that gym, and I do believe have known Gervonta Davis since childhood. One of the guys is Calvin Ford, who is his trainer. You have Junior, definitely somebody you should go check out. Well, they were having a conversation about the fallout around some beef between Gervonta Tank Davis and another fighter, Truck Simpson, and so they were going back and forth about that, and the hubbub that was around that. I'm not going to get into that because honestly, that's just whatever to me, really. People get in arguments all the time. They make up after they have arguments. It's just what it is, right? No, to me, no big deal. But in the midst of it, they were talking about Devin Haney because Truck Simpson is represented by or promoted by Devin Haney Promotions. So Calvin Ford was, again, very, very adamant that the fight between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney will take place. It will happen. And that is something that they want. Now, this is Calvin Ford, who is the trainer of Gervonta Davis. He is not going to be saying something that Gervonta Tank Davis does not want him to say, does not want. There's no reason to believe that that's the case. Very, very few times in boxing have you ever experienced where the trainer is literally saying that the fighter wants something that the fighter does not want, right? Now, even in the case, you could point to the case of maybe a Mikey Garcia and Robert Garcia in the case of the Errol Spence Jr. fight, where Mikey Garcia was like, look, I don't want to fight for Errol, but Mikey wants to fight for Errol. We're advising him not to take the fight. He says, no, I see something, I want to take the fight. But that's the only time that I can really point to that type of situation taking place. But that was them at the same time being very clear about what the fighter, Mikey Garcia, wanted to do. Every other trainer, their job is, and I think that they take that, seriously, is to prepare them for who Gervonta Davis fights. Now, Gervonta Davis is the type of fighter, and most fighters are this, that are going to get fights offered to him, and he's going to take the fight that he likes most out of the fight that is offered to him. Now, if a fight is offered to him, that does not mean that he's going to accept it. Like in the case of Abner Mares. If Abner Mares was offered to Gervonta Davis says, no, I'm not fighting Abner Mares. Right there's nothing to talk about because Gervonta Davis said no to it. Just because somebody else suggests the idea to him doesn't mean that that idea is going to be taken seriously by the fighter himself. And that was the case with the Abner Mares thing. As far as the Devin Haney thing goes, there's just a lot of conversation about how Gervonta Davis doesn't want him. When is Gervonta Davis going to step up to fight him? When he's going to do this and that? As we know, and I mean as we actually know, Devin Haney has a lot of fights lined up. He does, right? So when this conversation originally came up after when Devin Haney won the undisputed title, and congratulations to him, he had another fight with George Kambosos. We said it on this channel. It was said by Bob Arum. Everybody knows this. Then everybody should have known he was going to fight Vasily Lomachenko next. Why? Because Bob Arum said that. And Bob Arum pretty much said that before Devin Haney got the original fight with George Kambosos, because that fight was supposed to go to Vasily Lomachenko, but Vasily Lomachenko wound up going back to Ukraine and, taking care of the various serious situations going on there. However, throughout this whole thing, Gervonta Davis's camp has been insistent that they're going to fight Devin Haney. Now, what more than likely would have to take place in order for that fight to actually happen? There is going to have to be some sinking of the business, right? More than likely, it's not going to be on Top Rank. Right? Not going to be on Top Rank. Is more on ESPN rather. Is probably going to have to be on Showtime. And more than likely, Devin Haney's going to have to stay at 130. He's going to have to stay at 135 pounds for a longer period of time. And so, but now am I saying myself that I know that fight's going to happen? I'm not saying that I know it's going to happen. I know that that's what they're saying, and I have no reason to not believe what they're saying. So, all of this, people are not trying to make fights and all of that. Like, hey, man, I'm not buying that he will not fight Gervonta Davis, and in fact, that Gervonta Davis won't fight Devin Haney. In fact, I think the dude probably really wants it because that's the only guy that Gervonta Davis is actually said out of his mouth, okay, yeah, I want to fight you. You keep talking, I want to fight you. However, those things do have to come together, and hopefully they will. Could happen at 140. I wouldn't be totally surprised if it couldn't happen at 140. I just don't think Devin's going to be at that weight long enough. And more than likely, if he stays, Bob Arum is going to have a say-so over what's going on, unless Devin Haney's a complete free agent, which he may be. But even in that case, it's going to be the Zone or it's going to be Showtime. But whatever case is going to be, because Gervonta is really the big cash guy, he's going to be able to dictate what's going on in the fight regardless of the belts. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.